What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we're going to be going through my top 36 running back rankings as we head into week 7 of the fantasy football season. The wide receiver version of this episode is already out on the channel, so hopefully you guys have got a chance to watch that one. If not, make sure you go check that one out at the end of this episode. But I don't want to waste too much time. Lots of stuff to talk about here in today's episode. Some matchups to target, maybe some to avoid, and also some injuries to cover as well. So without wasting any more time, let's hop right into today's video and let's start talking about these running backs. All right, so as you can see, I got my 7 tiers pulled up on the screen here today. As always, the tiers on the left side, how they are labeled is how I'm viewing these players in your lineup. So the guys at the top, those are the elite RB1 plays here in this week's slate, and the guys at the bottom are going to be the flex plays, guys that maybe you need to get into your lineup if you have some injuries or some buys, but guys that are probably a little bit avoidable this week as well. We'll focus on the matchups as we always do, but kicking it off in tier 1, I do have 4 running backs in this tier. It's Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, and also Jahmyr Gibbs is in this tier as well. Christian McCaffrey has a bad matchup on paper against the Atlanta Falcons. They're currently ranked 2nd against the running back position, allowing 14.8 fantasy points per game, so it is a tougher matchup for CMC. That doesn't matter to me though, because he is matchup proof and he is still going to be one of the best plays that you can possibly play here this week. Jahmyr Gibbs is another player that I will touch on. There isn't any matchup stuff to talk about. He's the Monday night game. There was a report that Dan Campbell wants to get David Montgomery a little bit more involved. That's fine. I'm not too worried about Jahmyr Gibbs. I still think he's an elite RB1 play. Both of these guys can be productive in this backfield. Now moving on to my tier 2, that is the high-end RB1s. I got 4 players in this tier as well, kicking it off with Josh Jacobs, followed by Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, and Achane to round out this tier. The only matchup worth talking about is going to be Achane. He gets a bad matchup against Cleveland. They're currently ranked the #1 defense against running backs so far this year, only allowing 13.8 fantasy points per game. So it's a tough matchup for Achane, but he is a PPR type of guy. So even if it's tough sledding on the ground, he should be able to get it done through the air, still making him a high-end RB1. Let's go to the next tier. The next tier is the low-end RB1s, and I only have 3 guys in this tier. It's going to be Quinshon, Judkins, Rico, Dowdle, and Kyren Williams, which is a little bit unique because we don't even have 12 guys being viewed as RB1s here this week. But I'll show you my next tier, the safe RB2s. You try and tell me the one guy in that tier that's going to round out the top 12 guys. Your guess is as good as mine, man. I think this week, just with the buys and the injuries, it's a little bit tough. Obviously, guys like James Cook, Bucky Irving out, Derrick Henry out, things like that. So this is what we got here. Quinshon Judkins has a smash matchup for him here this week against the Miami Dolphins. They are currently ranked 28th against the running back position, giving up 25.9 fantasy points per game, but we have seen running backs shred them all year long. I think Judkins is in store for a massive week here. And Rico Dowdle, assuming Chuba Hubbard is out, which I am going to operate as of right now that Chuba is out, should continue some of the stuff that he's been doing over the last couple of weeks. Maybe not, 250 yards a game like he's been damn near doing every single week, but Rico's going to be nice this week as well as a low-end RB1. Let's go on to tier 4, because I said this is the tier where it's a big pile of running backs that are kind of on that safe RB2. Maybe one of them, obviously one of them statistically has to be an RB1 this week, but you'll tell me who you think it is. I have Jacory Croskey-Merritt at the top of the tier, followed by Jaylen Warren, Breece Hall, Skattebo, Rachaad White in this tier as well, DeAndre Swift in this tier, and last but not least, it's Ashton Jeanty in this tier. So like I said, lots of guys in this group. I think Jacory Croskey-Merritt has the best matchup, maybe the second best matchup on the slate, depending on how you view it. Dallas is currently ranked 30th against the running back position, giving up 26.4 fantasy points per game. JCM should be in a spot here where he could have a massive breakout game here in week 7. So he's my favorite of the group, but I think technically by, default, the best matchup is Jaylen Warren, who plays against Cincinnati on the road. It's Thursday Night Football. They're ranked 32nd, so dead last, giving up 30.7 fantasy points per game, but he's in a little bit more of a timeshare than JCM is. So even though the matchup is a little bit better, I don't know if the week is going to be just as big or have as much high-end potential as a guy like JCM does. But both of these guys, I think, are great plays here in this tier. 2 matchups in this tier that I think are tougher matchups, maybe ones that if you have guys that you're deciding in this tier and you want to lean to the better matchup, that's fine. But Skattebo has a tough matchup on the road at Denver. They are ranked 7th against the running back position, only allowing 16.5 fantasy points per game. And Rachaad White has a tough matchup on the road, Monday Night Football against Detroit. They are 6th best against the running back position, only giving up 15.5 fantasy points per game. So 2 good matchups with JCM and Jaylen Warren, 2 bad matchups with Cam Skattebo and Rachaad White. But all of these guys are safe running back 2s in my rankings here this week. Let's go to tier 5. That is the fringe running back 2s, and I have a total of 8 running backs in this tier as well. It's going to be J.K. Dobbins, followed by Travis Etienne, Jordan Mason, David Montgomery, Kamani Vidal, Alvin Kamara, Chase Brown, and last but not least, it's going to be Kenneth Walker. This is by far the largest tier in our group here today, or I guess in our rankings here today. A couple matchups to talk about here as well. Etienne is the first that we will talk about. He plays against the Los Angeles Rams. That is an early morning London game, so technically a road game for both teams. Right now, Los Angeles is ranked 4th best against the running back position, only giving up 15 fantasy points per game, so it may be a little bit more tough sledding this week for Etienne. A good matchup, though, for Jordan Mason against the Philadelphia Eagles. Surprisingly, Philadelphia is ranked 25th against the running back position, giving up 23.4 fantasy points per game. Teams have been able to run against the Philadelphia Eagles so far this year, so Jordan Mason is an interesting play as a fringe RB2. I also think there's a bad matchup here for Kamani Vidal, who obviously had the breakout week last week for the Los Angeles Chargers, the waiver wire pickup of the week last week and this week because he still didn't get past that 50% threshold. I think he's an interesting play, but it is a tougher matchup this week than it was last week against the Miami Dolphins. This one is ranked 8th best against the running back position against the Indianapolis Colts, and they're only giving up 16.6 fantasy points per game, so maybe not expecting the same things out of it all this week that he gave us last week. We also have a good matchup here for Alvin Kamara at the Chicago Bears. Right now, the Bears are ranked 26th against the running back position, giving up 24.6 fantasy points per game, but Kamara hasn't been as efficient this year. They have been running in Kendre Miller just a little bit more, so his upside seems to have been lacking a little bit this season, and I'm worried that maybe we're seeing a little bit of the signs of a running back age cliff for Alvin Kamara as well. Let's go to tier 6. Tier 6 is low upside RB3s. This is a group of guys that is very unappealing, but we will talk about a majority of them. I got Trevion Henderson here, Isaiah Pacheco, Ramondre Stevenson, and Tony Pollard. So let's really just talk about the Patriots running backs. It's technically a good matchup on paper for both of them. Tennessee is ranked 29th against the running back position, giving up 26.4 fantasy points per game. So both of these guys have a good matchup on paper, but it is a messy, inefficient backfield right now for Mike Vrabel and the Patriots. So I can't really trust either of these guys. I would honestly probably be trying to avoid both of these guys in my lineups if I can. Because you're looking at these guys as low upside RB3s, I think there's definitely some wide receivers I would rather flex than these guys this week. There is a bad matchup technically on the other side of the football here for Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard obviously playing the New England Patriots this week. They're ranked top 5 against the running back position, only giving up 15.5 fantasy points per game. Tajay Spears back into the lineup. Cam Ward still needing to get it figured out, and obviously they just fired their head coach, so we will see what happens here with the Titans, but Tony Pollard is not a safe play by any means necessary. Let's go to tier 7. These are the flex plays, desperation flex plays, I will say at best. So let's talk about all of them. Getting through running back 36, I'm going to kick it off with RJ Harvey, followed by Woody Marks, Kenneth Gainwell, Kareem Hunt, Zach Charbonnet, and then Tajay Spears in here as well. I'm not going to touch too much on Tajay Spears because we talked about his bad matchup just recently with the Tony Pollard stuff. There is a good matchup for Kenny Gainwell, like we said with Jaylen Warren. They play against the Cincinnati Bengals. It is a little bit of a timeshare here, so he should have the opportunity on Thursday Night Football to run a little bit as well as Jaylen Warren. Obviously, we just preferred Jaylen Warren to Kenny Gainwell by a decent amount. So outside of Tajay Spears and Kenny Gainwell, there's not too much to talk about. It's a lot of guys in committees, Harvey in a committee, Woody in a committee, Kareem Hunt, Zach Charbonnet, all of these are committee running backs. I think they're fine. They're all touchdown dependent, some of them PPR dependent, just not guys that I want to get into my lineup unless I have to. And that's like absolutely have to. Like I said, desperation flex plays here this week in this tier 7. All right, so there you have it, guys. That is my top 36 running backs heading into week 7 of the fantasy football season. As always, these rankings are going to change over the week because today is the big day for injury reports. We're going to get information today, tomorrow, throughout the rest of the week that are going to change and adapt these rankings. So make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Like I said, we dropped the wide receiver version of this earlier, so go check that one out. You don't want to miss any of the future content as well. We got Q&As 2 to 3 times a week on this channel as well, so we can answer all of your fantasy football questions. If you found something today informative, entertaining, and or actionable, do me the favor and hit the like button. It is the best free way to show this channel some support. And if you want 24/7 access to a community of 600 plus people that want to talk fantasy football, go join the League FFB Discord. It is free to join, so there is no risk in doing that. But with all of that out of the way, I have nothing else for you guys today, so I will see you on our next episode. But until then, peace out.